Okay, hi. Michelle here in Ghana. For those who are seeing me for the first time, don't mind my glasses. Spoke about it already. I have now been living in Ghana for 1 year, May, June, 1 year and some weeks. I left the US to Ghana last year. Um, I've had a very interesting year, and I propose that there are many interesting things to come. No, moving to Ghana is one thing. There are a number of things you have to do to stay in Ghana. So for those persons who watch previous videos, I've given outside of the making of my house, building of my house, I've spoken about a number of things. I've spoken about permit for building, which legally should be done before submit your application for your building permit before you actually start building. I am currently working on a book, a little bit of my personal experiences. There are some things you're not going to be saying. Well, you don't have time to go into some nitty gritty talking all the time. You say as expeditiously as possible, you try to relate what you're saying or what your experience is or so on. So putting together an ebook. Many of the things I do, even if I'm thinking about it, I don't want to call myself lazy. But when I get up in the mornings and I go out there, really and truly, I don't stop doing what I'm doing outside until I'm finished. So even though I have ideas about books, even though have ideas about certain things to say, the effort that I put into or I need to put in may deter me from doing it. But the book is something that has been requested by a couple persons, and I tried to put together without getting too personal, um, put in the actual things that I did, steps that I took to get here. So I may put a picture of it on this video. Not all my videos have thumbnails. Carissa does them for me. So I may create an actual thumbnail and put the picture on it. There are some other things that I wrote about that I may start, offering as ebook choices at a cost, of course. These definitely I would put a cost on and put it out there. You tell me what you think about that as well. I don't have a problem hearing your opinion of that. But I will be creating one. There are persons that I use that I will not use again in terms of um for example, my resident permit. The person I used before I wouldn't use again because the price at which those are processed is kind of ridiculous now that I'm here and I'm seeing, and I'm at a point now where I'm looking about my resident permit. Now that is one of the things that is very important for you remaining here. Um Different persons approach it in different ways. So let's put that out there. Um there are persons with the money to come here and pay for 5 years straight, 4 years straight, 3 years straight. The fee for the actual permit, resident permit that is 388 Ghanaian cedis. That's just the fee for the permit. You're going to be adding to that the medical, which is mandatory. The government made it mandatory some time ago. And not only did they make it mandatory, I did some investigating because I initially thought that it's just a number. The price was just something put together by the agents. Just the price, not the fact that I had to do a medical, right? I have something said to say about that, but I don't know if this is the forum to say it regarding the medical, that is. But a medical is mandatory governmentally, and after they put the mandatory part to it, they have also decided that it must be done at the immigration service office, which is in Accra, right? So technically, while you can um access agents, I guess from anywhere you are, it still ultimately goes back to Accra. So the agent who did mine last year, she had to collect all the documentation and whatever and send the documents to Accra for processing. And then she get it back and then she forward it to you. I know there are many persons who prefer experience. I prefer experience. What I don't, well, what I would probably have a problem with is the costs attached to these processes that you have to pay. So the medical part of it, I wasn't sure who was benefiting from it. If I go to the doctor here, well, in Jamaica, if you're doing a medical, you just go to the doctor, do a medical, and you carry it to whichever organization wants it. I don't think it runs here the same. You will have to use the resource that in place for it to be done, which means that um, it is a factor that cannot be taken away from the process. That's what I'm getting to. Additionally, I thought the money was bloated like everything else, the bloat here. So I did some investigation on my own, went on the website and so on. And the price, the 150 USD that is charged for the medical is actually what is charged for the medical. What is fluid, what is fluid is the agent fees attached to the process. And that now depends on who you're working with. So one agent will charge 1,000. They will say, okay, the overall cost for renewal is 5,000 Ghanaian cedis, and that's for one person for 1 year, right? What that means is 388 plus 150 goes into the office. The rest is the agent fees. If you're doing 3 years, it's 3 times 388 plus the 150 medical plus whatever agent you're using fees, right? Now, my position is different from other persons in that those monies, I don't have access to US dollars. So a dollar is a dollar here. They don't call it Ghanaian cedis, the Ghanaian cedis here. So my 1,150 for you guys becomes 1,500, 600 Ghanaian cedis for me, depending on where the US is at that point in time. And you know that changes daily and weekly, right? So where I'm at now, I need to find those costs. In fact, the challenge is not just the medical fee, it's the fee that the agent will charge. So for me, one person, one agent is saying 1,650 for her fee, but that would be for me only. That fee now multiplies by 4 because it's 4 of us. So we are looking at 1,650 times 4 plus 388 times 4 plus 150 US, or if you want, you can say 1,600. Let's say that Ghanaian cedis times 4. So that would be the overall cost for us to get our residency. So I'm just putting it out there for you to understand where you are at, where I'm at, and where you probably at if you end up in my position. Not my position money-wise, I'm talking here just the position of wanting your resident permit. So the fees are, you cannot get away around it. You cannot. If you go to Accra, the only thing you may avoid is the fee attached to the agent, right? So there are persons who have really encouraged me to avoid the agent fees, go directly to immigration. But to do that, I would, and if anybody else knows anything separately, this is just what happened to me in the week here when I left my house to meet someone who was going to deal with it. But this person didn't give me all the information. I was wondering in all the things that I heard from persons, the medical, the whatever, the medical, the agent fee. This person wasn't acting as an agent. They were just saying they were helping me. So I was saying, what's the additional fee to the 388? The person just multiplied the 388 by 4 and told us that's what I had have to pay. Except her pay them. Except when I got up the morning to get ready, the person didn't come for me at the time specified for pickup. And then they called like an hour, 2 hours later when we decided we were going to start out on our own to ask about, and this is not asking about passport. Everybody should know that your passport is mandatory to travel with for something like this. And indenture for those persons, because you have to have proof that you reside there and are a part of the community or whatever. So your indenture cards or bank statement showing activity. This was quoted to me. This is the first I was hearing this part. Bank statement showing activity for at least 3 months. Right? So we got the bank statement. We got it. He was then just asking us that same morning if we had pictures. No, when he said that, I remember we did use pictures. But the pictures that we used was the pictures that we came from the US with, because we took photographs just before we left. So they used that one. I'm assuming the lady, the agent at the time, printed it. Just that we didn't have to go and take pictures, right? So he was then asking for pictures. So I said, okay, let us go and take some pictures, right? But then when he asked for medical, here I was thinking, okay, I know that they charge a lot. Seeing quotes, so I know that it's about 150 US for the medical. So there I was thinking to myself, okay, let us go to a doctor to do the medical, which is what I'm used to. Doesn't work. When the first doctor, well, the doctor that we know, it's in the same complex with the dentist. They said they don't do it, and then I said to Carissa to search for other doctors. Except in that search, I said, what, go on the website. So it was during all of that going around and checking that David was saying that it's mandatory that you go to a designated doctor, which is the doctor at the immigration service, right? So the cost for medical is indeed 150 US dollars, or the equivalent in Ghanaian cedis, and it's hopefully they don't raise it before I find the rest. But currently it is still 388 for the permit fee, and then if you're using an agent, you pay the agent, right? So it's 5,000 for one agent. One agent. I'm trying to remember why that agent I got 8,000 something. It was the same 150. It was the same 388. So maybe that fee was higher. I need to check that, because if the fee is one fee for all 4 of us processing, that would be better than the 5,000 quotes for one person. Because if 1,650 times 4, well, it's really it's high for me. If I cannot afford that, it would be better I take the one that is just giving us a fee, maybe a 5,000 for all of us, processing all of us. But those are the things you have to think about. For you to remain here, you need a resident permit. For you to build, you need a building permit that you have to apply for. Usually apply for. If you don't apply for it before you start building I think there are fees attached. All right. They will tell you when you get there. Outside of that, eventually you're going to want citizenship, and that's another thing now that is it's very controversial in terms of wanting to say anything about it. Personally, 25,000 is astronomical and a big jump from 2,500, because there were persons who were saying they were happy that they did it when it was 2,500 Ghanaian cedis. Now it is 25,000 Ghanaian cedis at the time that they did it last year. So I don't know if it's going to go down. There is the argument that if they're asking us to come home and this is home, why are persons being asked to pay such a large sum plus a whole lot of things? But these, I mentioned them not just for you to know the ballpoint figure of what you need to spend. For those persons who are individual, it's probably a little bit easier. For those who have family, it's going to be very hard financially. For those who there's some will and some won't. That's understood, right? But those things have to be taken into consideration if you're buying property to come here to live. You have to be living here for 5 years before you can apply for citizenship. And while some persons are leery about saying certain things publicly like this, it is something you have to consider. You're going to be hearing a whole lot of different things, because I spoke to a number of persons that are here, a number of different things, not just the price, but the process, the steps, the documentation. This person asks us for a statement. They ask for, so medical is mandatory, and the fee for the thing there is mandatory. Indenture, if you don't have the indenture, the statement, the bank statement, they say, we never have no bank statement last year, but maybe it's because of our first time, but we did have indentures and I did have to present it. It wasn't ready at the time, but they contacted the persons who were in charge of the indenture and they did their things. There are other processes. Persons can stand as sponsors for you for the permits, right, in place of the indenture. But if you don't know persons in that position, it's not going to help you. And I think it has to be a citizen. I'm not positive, don't quote me on that, but I got the impression it had to be a citizen who could sponsor you in the place of the indenture, having the indenture. So keep those things at the back of your mind of having those are things you have to pay for, and they are important to you remaining in Ghana, right? So that's just me sharing that part. We have started the process, we're not finished. I'm sure I'm going to be learning a number of things along the way as I go through the process again last year. And that is true. Once you do the agent, you don't have to be doing any back and forth and us hustling all over the place. If we should go to Accra, it would mean finding 4 fares. The fares on the taking a taxi, we're not going to do that again, as I tell you guys. Experiences with a taxi, we're not going to be doing that again. I don't know. People would say, why not take the Ford buses? Because it's just 100 for each of us. So go and come to the station. Please keep that in mind. Accra is not one place. Accra is a number of places. Well, Accra, the capital, is one place, yes. But there are a number of places in and around Accra. So if you take a Ford bus, you're going to be left at the Ford station. What do you do when you want to leave the Ford station? You can't stand up at the Ford station. Yes, they are in Accra. Where in Accra you're going, right? So are you going to take a Uber? Are you going to take a boat? How far away are your destination? You have to think about those costs. So 4 persons traveling, it may seem cheaper, yes, initially, because just paying 100 is way cheaper than paying 800, 900, 1,000 something come and go. It's totally different, right? So if we are going to go to Accra to process it, it means that we have to think about not just the cost for the process itself, but the cost for traveling to Accra. And let me tell you something. Going to Accra, and this is another consideration, going to Accra at this particular time, and this we don't have any control over the time because it's a rainy season. It's up at the end of this month for us, the resident permit. If you go beyond the time that is allotted for your permit, you are now out of status, and that also is a chargeable situation, right? So you have to pay for being here out of status as well. So all of those things have to be taken into consideration. So if you are planning to go to Accra, you have to consider the weather. A friend that was staying with me called me yesterday, and she was saying, because we were initially saying that we were going to come her side, but then I see what the rain was doing, and we still don't have a true understanding of the situation with the rain that side. We just know that there are floodings, right? But she was letting me know that it's bad, really bad, so bad that persons, a particular section on the way en route had to be it was closed down because of the water. And then people had to, she said she had no idea what they did. Some probably slept in the car, maybe they have persons in the surrounding, I don't know. But can you imagine us getting stuck in a situation like that? We don't know nobody, we don't know the places. So whether we like it or not, we have to go the agent way. So let me say 1,650 times 4. I'm trying to remember how much. What? You're still looking at about 6,000 something. So if you're looking at 6,000 something as agent fee for all 4 of us together processing, and then you're looking at 6,000 something for the medical, that alone is 13,000, right? Then another 3,000 something for 1 year. And here the other thing you have to think about: do you focus on just taking it a year? It means that you have to find the same additional, because remember we're at 12,000 now for just the outside, that's the processing, the agent and the medical, which is mandatory. So if you're looking at 13,000, are you going to therefore find another 13,000 to get another year, and then another 13,000 to get another year? We just finished 1 year, 4 years to go, so 4 times that. Or do we try to find money for 3 or 4 years? If it is 3 years per person, you're looking at, let me say round it off at 4, it would be a little bit less, let's say 4,000. You're looking at 1,200 for 3 years and 1,500 thereabout for 4 years. So 1,500 for each person again would then be another 6,000, right? So say 6,000, 6,000, 6,000, 3 6 is 18. So you're looking at an average of say 19, 20,000 to sort us out right now. Ghanaian cedis, that's 2,000 US thereabouts. Yeah. But I think I'm gonna try and see if I can reach for the 3-4 years for processing, instead of us thinking of finding that what 13,000 every year for 1 year. You get what I'm saying? But this is me, this is my experience. Some persons won't have this dilemma, and that's great. But in sharing, hopefully persons see where they're at and they can make the decisions before. You tell me which you prefer. Do we just try to find the 6,000 for all of us for 4 years, and then pay this other additional 13,000 one time, and then know that we don't have to think about it till another 3-4 years down the line? Or do we do it one at a time? Some persons don't have a choice, they just have to. I don't want to think that I don't have a choice. I'm going to see what I can do to get there. All right? talk long enough. I'll see you guys in another video, and I'll tell you how this works out and what we did. All right.